This is Hannibal here from thehannibaltv.com with a daily wrestling news update for you. I already reported earlier the big news of the day was Jody Hamilton passing away, who was in charge of the WCW power plant for years, as well as WWE's Deep South wrestling territory, where he gave me some advice in the short time I was there. Always found him to be a great guy. Raw last night for Goldberg officially making the challenge, I guess, to Bobby Lashley and delivering a spear to MVP. Did a 0.51 rating, so it is going to be Goldberg against Lashley at SummerSlam, with Cena also taking on Roman Reigns. And I do have to say, I watched the highlights of the Goldberg thing with Lashley, and Goldberg looks great for 54 years old. He's jacked. I am interested to see that match, actually. I think Lashley is a very good competitor, too. He did do an interview for this channel, too, if you search up Bobby Lashley, the Hannibal TV, during his time in Impact Wrestling. AEW it's funny when they first were announcing that they were going to be like a different product and not just sign WWE rejects. And now they're signing like all these people that used to be in WWE, and it was just announced that the NXT jobber team of Everrise, who were recently released, are making their AEW debut tomorrow night. And it's like, really, I can understand taking Ric Flair or Daniel Bryan, but seriously, you're even going to hire the low card guys too, and your roster already has, like, it's overinflated as it is. Just bizarre decisions. They'd rather just take these rejects and create their own stars, which I don't know. I don't think that's good in the long run, but whatever. The other thing, I guess Big E said recently in an interview that he found Roman Reigns and The Miz were probably the two most arrogant people in the WWE. I have to say, the one meeting I have with Big E at the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in Iowa 3 or 4 years ago, he was extremely arrogant. He wouldn't even do a short interview with me, and he definitely came across like, oh, I'm a big star type attitude when I ran into him. So I found it funny that he says other wrestlers are arrogant when he was definitely one of the more arrogant wrestlers I've run into. The Real Stony says people need to stop watching WWE till they bring Bray back. Bray sucks, in my opinion. He was boring as hell. And that match he had with Cena was one of the worst matches I ever saw in my life. It could very well be the worst WrestleMania match of all time. It made me embarrassed to be involved with professional wrestling. Rational says Rosie was correct. That reminds me, Ronda Rousey said something like, I guess there was some chance on Raw, bring back Bray or something. And Ronda Rousey posted on social media, when Bray was there, they were chanting, "We want balloons." So it's like, and Ronda Rousey also called the fans idiots. But you're never going to please everybody. I remember, what was it, that Hell in the Cell match that Bray was involved with? People were all shitting on that too. But basically, if he was doing that good for the company, they wouldn't have got rid of him. They don't release people that they find are too valuable to be released. You don't see them letting John Cena go away. Does this mean the evil WWE empire is falling? Well, as I've said a couple days in a row now, they just profited $29 million in one quarter. So they're extremely profitable. So letting go of people that are being overpaid, I don't think is a bad thing. AEW is in the red. They're not profitable. And although their TV ratings are close to WWE's main shows in recent weeks, they're still like 0.4 ratings. So, the real Stoney says Goldberg should have been let go. Goldberg pops ratings. A 0.51 is a good rating for WWE. People tune in to see Goldberg. Dominic saying the bad ratings aren't Goldberg's fault. Well, that 0.51 is excellent for WWE these days. So Goldberg still pops ratings. Like him or hate him, that's why they bring him back for huge money. He brings interest to the product. They haven't had the biggest new star since John Cena has been Roman Reigns, who didn't near come close to reaching the levels of Cena. And there hasn't been anyone since Roman Reigns that has actually reached mainstream popularity. And before Cena, I mean, you could say Lesnar, he's not quite the level of a Cena as a draw, but he's up there. And before that, it would have been what? Austin and The Rock. Money talks, bullshit walks. Someone says, I don't know what that's referring to. All signs point to Brock is going to wait to get back into wrestling until at least the next WrestleMania. Chris is not a Roman Reigns fan. I have nothing against him. I have absolutely nothing against him. While I am saying he never reached the level of popularity as a Cena or a Lesnar, he's good. He's definitely good. Robert, I have zero respect for Miro for letting Lashley make out with his wife on top of him. If you find someone that allows that, respectful, I don't think so. I think anyone that allows their wife, and then WWE fired him right after that, and his wife was released not too long after that. So to allow your wife to make out with another man on top of you, man, that's pathetic. Don't forget Heidenreich. I don't think Heidenreich quite made the levels of the John Cena. It's unfortunate. I really do like Heidenreich as a person, but by the time he made it to WWE, he had a lot of injuries and a lot of personal demons that ultimately, which he admitted to me in his shoot interview, led him to being fired. Jay Smith, what do I think Ric Flair is going to do? Well, obviously, we're going to see him in AEW, without question. Big Richard, could Mike O'Hearn have been a pro wrestler? I did interview Mike O'Hearn earlier today, who was from American Gladiators, both seasons, Battle Dome. The only person to have been on more fitness covers than him is Arnold himself. And Big Richard, to answer your question, Rick Bassman told me that the two people that he had a little bit of training with that could have been big superstars but didn't pursue wrestling were Evan Marriott, a.k.a. Joe Millionaire, who is a friend of mine now, and Mike O'Hearn. when Rick saw them in training, they had everything, all the tools to make it as a big time pro wrestling star, but for whatever reason, they didn't pursue it. Mike brings up that Bray Wyatt is fat. Well, you can't argue with that. He was lucky that his dad was IRS, or he wouldn't have got the opportunities that he had. Neil, do I think Paul Heyman gets fired soon and goes to AEW? I don't know. They already have way too many people in AEW with creative input. Similar to WCW, a lot of people had creative control, and it helped lead to the downfall of his company. Pulsar Lights brings up the Ric Flair 72. 1 foot in the grave. Well, he did almost die, what was it, 3 or 4 years ago? And he's the thing why they keep using Flair is, again, they haven't created new stars, and Ric Flair will still pop a rating. I'd rather watch a Ric Flair interview than really anyone else in wrestling still, if I have the choice. So yeah, he builds interest. Yeah, he is 72, but he's just more entertaining than most of the wrestlers out there today, even though he can't actually wrestle anymore. So who knows? Ivan Mike Rotundo would be a good interview. I wouldn't be opposed to it. He is going to be at the Bruiser Brody Cup in Carthage, Texas, that I am going to be covering coming up November 5th and 6th. Both Money Inc. members are going to be there, as well as Kevin Nash, Psycho Sid, David Schultz, JJ Dillon, the Brooklyn Brawler, James Storm is going to be there, Gangrel is going to be there. It's going to be a huge event. And while I'm at it, may as well plug another event that, by the way, I believe tickets just went on sale. Front row is completely gone. There might be a very few tickets left in the second row for October 22nd. PCW Ultra's All Systems Go event, which they also announced Scorpio is facing the Blood Hunter on there, and Kevin Sullivan will be in the corner of the Blood Hunter. Speaking of the Blood Hunter, he is wrestling Shane Douglas the first night of the Bruiser Brody Cup. His opponent for the second night has not been announced yet, so I'm looking forward to finding out who that is going to be. Robert, apparently Terry Funk is in a retirement home now, so I don't know. Jay Smith is going to blaze a fat one after the stream. I've done my weight workout, but I haven't ran yet, so likely I won't have anything until after that. Town Biz 510, will I do any more MMA interviews? I think I just interviewed Josh Barnett a week or two ago, and I put up MMA interviews from the MMA Power Hour on here every week. I have a collaboration agreement with them, so I'll always do MMA interviews. BPJ still likes Goldberg. Michael Miller, I will not wrestle the Blood Hunter because I'm retired. I do better at reporting than I ever did as a wrestler. Scott Blood Hunter would destroy that guy. Just look at the body difference. Blood Hunter would absolutely destroy that guy. So anyways, have a good night. And check out that Mike O'Hearn interview if you were a fan of American Gladiators or bodybuilding. One last thing I'll say actually about that Mike O'Hearn interview, because a lot of people mentioned, why didn't you press him when he said that he never took steroids. Well, I've never seen him take steroids. I don't even know him. Is he huge? Is he bigger than any natural person I've ever seen in my life? Yes. But he did that interview with me out of the goodness of his heart because we have a mutual friend in Rick Bassman. So someone that's going to do a free interview with me, I'm not going to harass them on whether or not they take steroids. I'll be perfectly honest, I don't care if he does or not. To be in his 50s and still look how he does now, looks amazing. No, CM Punk is not doing MMA pulsar lights. Dana White said after his last fight that his last fight didn't even belong on UFC Fight Pass, let alone UFC, and he was embarrassed. So good thing that he's going back into wrestling for him, because he can make a lot more money in wrestling and not get his brains beat in like he did in MMA.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Support us on patreon.com for $1.99 a month